Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome to a video that is pretty highly requested. This is going to be my very favourite of all time eyeshadow palettes. I did not mean to leave my backdrop up, but it's fine, we seem to be in focus. No big deal, ignore that. I get asked a lot what my favourite eyeshadows are, brands, palettes, things like that, so I'm going to sit down and show you what are my favourite. I'm also going to include like favourite single eyeshadows or pigments, glitters, and my favourite eyeliner of all time. And yeah, maybe I'll include some brushes as well at the end if I can be bothered. So these are the palettes in my collection that if my flat burned down, what palettes would I want to buy immediately to kind of restock my collection and have my favourites to hand, and just palettes that I really feel I don't want to live without. Obviously I can live without them, I just don't want to, you know? So these are the ones I would save in a house fire if it came down to me picking eyeshadow palettes in a house fire. Could happen. I didn't film this makeup look, but I'm currently filming first impression on the Jouer foundation. If you're wondering why I look so similar to my last video or an upcoming video, I don't know. I'm doing another video. Anyway, so we're just going to dive in to what palettes I think everyone should own because they're amazing and why. The first one I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about in any great detail because I've spoken about this palette until the cows come home. It is my favourite. It matches my backdrop so perfectly. It's the Dose of Colours Desi and Katie Friendcation palette. You get 10 eyeshadows in here. They're incredibly beautiful. I love them so much. I'll try and insert like some swatches during me speaking. But yeah, this is the most beautiful palette I've ever seen in my life. It's perfect, it's blendable. It's fairly expensive, I think it's £44, but I would pay double that having used it and knowing how good it is. So that is the first one. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I've spoken about it a lot. The next one is one that you've probably not heard me talk about in a while, but when I looked at my collection and I thought I would save that, I would save that, I would save that, meh, I don't really care about that. It's the Urban Decay Moondust eyeshadow palette. This is one of the things that really got me into sparkly eyes, like greens and blues, and I just think this palette is phenomenal. You will be able to see by how used mine is and how gross it kind of looks just from here that I have used this palette a lot. I think it is one of the best pressed sparkly shadows you can get. You can build them up and use them wet for like super pigmentation, or you can use them just lightly and pat them on top. You do get fallout with these, you're going to want to use them before you do your base, but this is an incredible palette and I feel like nobody really talks about it anymore. I remember when it released, everyone was going mental about it and I really wanted it, and I waited ages to get it because it's expensive. I really love this palette and I am debating buying a new one now or waiting a while until I've like severely hit pan on all of them. But I mean, I can't really get anything more out of this blue shade here, which is my favourite, so we'll see, maybe I'll buy a new one soon if I get a voucher or something. A more recent discovery, as in a 2018 discovery, was the Huda Beauty Obsessions palette. This is the Emerald Obsession. I've done a couple of videos using this, I'm pretty sure. This is an incredible palette, and if you just want like a capsule palette for greens, this is one I would highly recommend. It's missing a couple more mattes in here for me personally, but I can still make such a beautiful look with this palette. It's so beautiful, and it's £25, which is a much kind of more reasonable price point I feel for a high-end palette, and you get 9 shades. It's incredible, the pigment is incredible, the blendability is incredible. I like the packaging, it's really small, fits in your pocket if that's what you wanted to do. Has a mirror. It's just a great palette all round, and every time I reach for it and use it, I really like my eye look that comes out of it, so I would save this in a fire. Ooh, this is a good one. Blood Sugar. No way would I let this burn. This is such a beautiful palette. I am so happy that I got this in my collection. I actually got sent this from a PR company, so not from Jeffree Star, but from a PR company that work with Beauty Bay, and they sent this to me and I nearly died. And then using it has only shown me how good this palette is. The purples in here are phenomenal. The reds, the pinks. I honestly don't really reach for the neutrals in here. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4 shades in here that I really barely reach for, which are the browns, these kind of neutrals here, but everything else is incredible. And this white is probably the best white eyeshadow. I mean, that's just honestly just grazing it. They are such good shadows. This is an incredible palette. It is expensive, but I think a lot of that comes from the packaging as well. But the quality of these is incredible and would highly recommend. I know I'm just going to hate editing this video because I hate just listening to my voice drone on and on and on and on. Anyway, another palette that I haven't used recently, but in 2018 I absolutely adored. And by the way, I do plan on going back through all of my palettes and doing new tutorials and fresh looks with them all, instead of just constantly buying new ones. So talking of that, Colour Drain Queen of Hearts. I remember when I got this, I was over the moon. This is one of the most beautiful palettes in the world. It's incredible. The metallics are wet, the mattes are so soft and pigmented, and the colour scheme in this palette is really what drew me to it, and it is perfection. You can do the most beautiful subtle looks with this, or really punchy, bright, beautiful, like purpley gold looks. It's gorgeous. This shade Crown is a sparkly white. You won't be able to see it from that distance, but I'll probably have done swatches. This palette is stunning. It is everything you could ever want in a palette. Again, expensive. I think all of the ones I'm talking about are pretty expensive. I just prefer high-end eyeshadows. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm not gonna say drugstore is just as good, because it's not, in my opinion. But I just think if you invest a bit more money in your eyeshadows, you can just get some really fabulous looks, and the quality is just better. But talking of drugstore, there's one drugstore palette I have to include in this, because I have used this to death. It's still the palette I get the most requests to use on video, and it's the Soft as Nails Extra Spice palette with Makeup Revolution. I've hit pan on shades in this, which I never do with drugstore eyeshadows. This palette is really, really, really good. It's £10 and you get what, 18 shades? Yeah, you get 18 shades in here. It's incredible. The pigmentation for the price is really good. Yeah, it's a great palette for £10. It's worth way more in my opinion. £20 I would pay for this palette. It's really good. I also really like Soph. She seems like a really nice person, and I love this palette and would highly, highly recommend it. If you're wanting a really good quality drugstore eyeshadow palette, that is what I would recommend. And then moving on to the more brighter, vibrant rainbow palettes. This is something that I haven't used a lot on my channel, and I use a lot in my own time, just when I'm kind of playing or doing looks for Instagram, and it is the Colour Drain Vivid Pigments. This is the magnetic palette with the pigments in singly, but you can now buy this on Beauty Bay. I think it's £39, and you get all of the shades but in like an actual palette, so they're all like in the palette. These are singles. I really like having singles, to be honest, but yeah, they now do it as a palette. I don't think they do them individually anymore. These are just nuts. These are so pigmented. It's like, I knew I would like them because I love the Queen of Hearts, but I wasn't sure what their neons would be like, and they are phenomenal. Like, I'm so happy to have this palette, and I think if there's one rainbow palette to recommend, it would be this one, because it's all of your bases covered. It's all the kind of primary colors and then more interesting deep colors, deep forest green. This is just great. They did actually send this to me, just to let you know, but I mean, my opinion's my own. I don't have to talk about it if I don't want to. So I really love this palette a lot. I just call it a palette because it's all of them, but these pigments are phenomenal. I was just going to say, because they are pigments, they actually don't stain my eyes at all. But what I will say is the pink in the Jeffree Star Blood Sugar does stain my eyes. That is a pressed pigment though. So pressed pigments can stain, that's why they can't be called eyeshadows. But blah blah blah, I don't care about a little bit of staining. It comes off eventually, and you can always cover it up with foundation, so who cares. I want to do 2 honourable mentions for palettes. One that I've only had fairly recently, which is the James Charles and Morphe palette. I didn't buy this because of James Charles. I bought it for the palette and how I like the look of it. This is a beautiful palette. It's massive, and I find the quality is pretty much just as good as my high-end eyeshadows. I know they're not drugstore Morphe, but they're not high-end either. But I do really love this palette, and I reach for it actually an awful lot. I didn't think I would use the neutrals in it, but I have been using them, and I really like it for work. I like it for bright colours. I just think this is a really, really beautiful palette, but it's just an honourable mention because that's only if I had time, like ample time to grab that palette, because if not, I could quite easily live without it. And then the other one is the Be Perfect Stacey Marie Carnival palette. Again, if I had ample opportunity to grab more, this is what I would grab. Again, it's just got really lovely vibrant colours in it, but for some reason I don't reach for it as much as my other palettes, but I really like it. The quality is so good. I wish Mitchell had done an eyeshadow palette with them instead of his highlight palette, but this palette's gorgeous. Again, it's got a lot of your bases covered. You can do really beautiful neutral looks or really cool vibrant looks. And I think I would also pick this because I just like her as a person. I think she seems really nice. She seems humble, although she's doing incredible. And yeah, I really like this. It's got really beautiful greens and blues in it especially, but then this whole kind of purple side as well is gorgeous. So I really love this palette, and I wouldn't want it to burn in a house fire. But again, I could live without it, but I had to mention it because I do think it is worth the money completely. I'm gonna move now into like littler things and not eyeshadow palettes. First thing is my Dose of Colours Block Party Teal Me More eyeshadow. If you don't want to get the Dose of Colours Francation palette and spend £44 in it, get this eyeshadow. It is stunning. It is, I think, £16, but so worth it. It's such an incredible colour. Oh, I just love it. It's great. Buy it if you can, honestly. And then I also want to give a special mention to the Sample Beauty pigments, especially to the colour A Year, which I actually have on the centre of my lids, and I used it in a recent video which I will link, and also the Sean Maloney pigment, which I will put a picture or a video up on screen of me wearing this pigment. This is the most incredible pigment in the world. If you want like a bit of texture, I want to show you without spilling it. It's like a texture, it's like gold leaf. It is the most incredible pigment probably in the world. I really like supporting Sample Beauty. They're an indie brand, they're a smaller brand, but their pigments are phenomenal. I really like their eyeshadows too, but the pigments for me are what really stand out. And also I have a pigment with them, a blue one. But these are my 2 favourites that they have released. I've not actually tried any other ones from their new collection, but those are the ones I love. And then moving on to eye glitter and things like that. You know I'm the biggest fan of glitter in the world, probably of anyone in the world. I will use glitter every day. The Urban Decay Heavy Metal glitter liners are just the best. The shade Distortion is the one I have used the most. It's just beautiful. I actually have it a little bit just kind of cutting my crease at the top. I've used this in many looks. I will repurchase this when I can get no more out of it. I would save this in a house fire. I love it so much. I do have a bunch of other shades as well. I really like this deep blue. I got so many lovely comments on my makeup in my testing Hourglass video, and I was wearing this with the Francation palette. This is the shade Gamma Ray. It's gorgeous. I will swatch all of these on my arm so you can see them, but I love these. They are quite expensive. They're usually £16. They quite often go on the sale for £13 on like Debenhams and stuff. So if you see them when they're on sale, I highly recommend buying them because they last forever. I've had this one for like well over a year now, and it's still going strong, and I use it all the time. So well worth the money. And then top Talking of things that are expensive but worth the money, in my humble opinion, is the Stila Glitter and Glows. I've got a pretty nice, pretty sweet collection of these now. I love collecting them. They cost so much. They're £24 for the full size. They do sets of minis, which I have here, and then the full sizes. I think, what, £24? Very expensive, and I understand people not wanting to spend that amount of money on them, but they are truly worth the money. If you can stretch to it or ask for it for a present for your birthday, or if you just get a voucher, try one of these. Honestly, they are so beautiful. They are sparkly. My eyelashes are stuck together. Okay. There we go. They are sparkly, they are glittery, they are pigmented, they are beautiful. My favourite shades are Smouldering Satin and Fairy Tale and Sunset Cove, which is like a duochrome purple. I really like Gypsy as well. Where is that? This one here, which is another kind of duochrome purple. I love purple. I think that might be my favourite colour, you know. And then also Diamond Dust is one of my favourites, which is like a holographic-ish silver. It is stunning. I want the full size of this. When this runs out, I will 100% buy the full size Diamond Dust. And then last mention is my favourite eyeliner, which I've used in about 1,000 videos. And I don't mean like a liquid black eyeliner, I mean like a blue eyeliner. This is my Kiko Turquoise eyeliner, shade 110. I think it's pretty much impossible to buy this now. Everyone keeps telling me it's out of stock or they've discontinued it. I have found the perfect dupe. Yes, I have. It's actually more expensive, but it's still cheap. It's from LA Girl. This is the shade Electric in their new kind of neon liner range. It's got neon lip liners and neon eyeliners. Electric is the perfect dupe. Hopefully you'll see them side by side. They are so nice. There's nothing more complimentary on my blue eyes than putting blue eyeliner in my waterline. Even if I'm doing a neutral look or a bright look, whatever, I will put blue in my waterline and it's phenomenal. I just love it. And yeah, if you can't get this one, get this one. It's the same thing. So that is my roundup of what I would save in a house fire in terms of eyeshadows and eye products. I could do another one for like foundations and concealers or setting spray, whatever, lipsticks, if you want to see them. So if you do, let me know down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. All of the products will be linked down in the description box. I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot of them already, but I do get asked to do this video a lot, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think of my picks. Do you think I missed anything? Is there anything that you're surprised I've included or not included? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I'll see you in my next one. Bye.